Motocross racing is not only one of the most physically punishing, but mentally demanding of all your motorsports. And a rider's mechanic not only has to tune and take care of his bike, but he has to tune and take care of the rider. Hi, I'm Dave Bowman. Join me today as we meet Rick Johnson and Mickey Dymond and the hidden heroes behind Team Honda, the national motocross champions.
In a remote western canyon, the rustic stillness is broken by the sound of two riders. These men on their modern steeds are no lonesome cowboys. They're supported by an outfit of professional mechanics and top-notch specialists from the factory. Dave Arnold is Team Honda's manager.
Racing itself has a lot of highs and has a lot of lows. You know, when you're winning, everything's great. When you're losing, you've never felt worse. I know that you have to just regenerate the enthusiasm and the drive from week to week to come out at the end of the year and say that you've won a certain championship in this class, or the results were as good as they possibly could have been. I know that it takes a positive teamwork, positive environment. A lot of times in motorcycle racing, because you spend so much time together and you're on the road so much together, it's important that the personalities fit. You know, it's kind of like a marriage. It sounds awkward, but Brian works very well with Ricky. Chris works very well with Mickey. I think you can mix things up and not have the same harmony and results within a team.
Even if I overjumped the 3 there, and I land on the flat.
At 19, Mickey Dymond is the current 125cc U.S. national champion. His mechanic is Chris Haynes.
We nicknamed Chris Hollywood because he's, you know, he'll do all he can to prepare the bike and the rider and get him going to the racetrack, and then he checks his hair and his clothes and stuff before he goes and works the chalk area.
We both try to have, you know, a lot of fun doing what we're doing, and it makes it easier to handle some of the tension, plus get our job done. You have to think that you're pretty much indestructible, you know, and if you don't think that, when you hit the jumps and you do some of the obstacles, if there's a little bit of doubt in there, you might not crash, but you're going to make a lot of mistakes and bring up, you know, a chance of getting hurt.
Like, I think last year we were the most winning team in motocross racing history, and you know, for us to come back and do it a second time it's going to be a handful, you know. And after you've won it all, it's hard to come back and do it twice. So.
The rider-mechanic relationship is important to Ricky Johnson, and his mechanic, Brian Lunas, does whatever's necessary to help the 250cc national champ.
Brian is very dedicated to his job. He doesn't just get the bike prepared for a given race and make the rider happy and go to the race and see how well he does. He puts the total time in. He'll work with the rider if the rider's up or down, or he needs a little bit more time on the bike, or he's not sure about the machine setting. Brian will just do whatever is necessary to, you know, to win.
The interesting thing about our relationship is before we were always working against each other. And when I first started riding for Honda, I wasn't sure if it would work between us, because we've always been, you know, not enemies, but fierce competitors when he was working with Donnie Hansen and also Bob Hanna. But we both have one thing in common, and that's we both want to be the best. You know, I want to be the best there is and ever was on a motorcycle, and I feel he has the same attitude when it comes to being a mechanic. He puts his heart and soul into it, and I'm really not just proud of him, but I idolize him in a lot of ways.
It's not Brian's style to play mother hen to Ricky. The two respect each other's abilities and the differences in their jobs. Brian used to ride and still has a competitive streak, especially when he and Ricky bicycle and exercise together. No one can say how much of their friendship is built upon the fact that Brian understands the punishment motocross riders must put themselves through and how unprotected they can feel. This will be the last practice for the whole team before the season gets serious. As always, they're testing new equipment and ideas. Today, they're not only checking out new bikes, but testing a 250cc engine with a new head design and experimental intake porting. As factory teams go, this one's on the small side, but they have a lot of depth. Nakamura, the brilliant young engine designer from Japan. The shock absorber expert with the rider's instinct for the track, Mishima, known as Sam for short. Five-time world champion Roger DeCoster, who consults with the riders. And Eric Krippa, Honda's technician in charge of the testing. The tests go well. The team is confident about the Carlsbad race and the new season's goal of another national championship. On race day, practice begins at 8 a.m. For Team Honda's Ricky Bad Boy Johnson, this is the home track. But many other top factory riders grew up here too, and the competition today will be world class. Despite a touch of the flu he can't shake, Mickey Dymond goes to join his teammate on a 250, leaving the 125 with Chris. He'll ride in both events in order to test the new 250 motor in competition. Both Chris and Brian come with the bikes well prepared. Nothing major remains to be done on race day, but take care of the rider.
I started working on him yesterday. If you come to the track and you start trying to work on him that day, it's just like trying to set up your machine for that you should have been doing all week long, come to the racetrack on Sunday and trying to set it all up. It doesn't work. There's just too much going on. The riders are trying to learn the track, and they can't be thinking about everything. They kind of numb out on certain areas. Some of them you got to like draw out of them. You got to ask them a lot of questions. It's 20 questions. We actually should have muddy tires out there, but you know how it is.
Yeah. The track is actually good. It's the best I've ever seen it.
9:45 a.m. and time for the first 8-minute qualifying race for the 250cc bikes. Missing from the scene is teammate David Bailey, their close friend and Honda's 500cc champion, who was hurt in an accident just a week ago.
I don't think that anybody here is going to think about it on race day so much because, you know, there is a job to do, and if you have that in the back of your mind, especially if you're a racer, you can't be thinking about that type of, you know, circumstance when you go out and race and do the things, and you're up close with other riders and you're going off jumps, and timing's so important. You just can't afford to have it get in the way. You know, I know that every one of us is concerned about David's well-being and planning trips to go up and see him and sending cards and flowers and calling doctors and doing whatever he can. But on race day, that situation has to be a little bit different.
Suddenly, Ricky is down. Mickey, right behind, hits his teammate, and Ricky is battered into heavy traffic. That Ricky can walk is a good sign. Meanwhile, Mickey is back on the track, and Ricky rejoins the race after only moments. Ricky's times are not bad considering what happened, but he won't qualify in this race. More importantly, back at the trailer, it's obvious his injuries are not serious.
You know, he was talking about riding the motorcycle. I was asking him about the motor. He said, well, it's fine if I can hold on, but my back's hurting, so I can't really ride the same as what I would on a good day. So yeah, it's probably affected his racing a little bit. I think it's how you deal with those injuries that, you know, separates the champions from the guys that might sit out a day.
Ricky rushes off to the 250 consolation race. his last chance to qualify. And before Brian can minister to his rider, he has to mend the equipment.
Well, basically, he doesn't have a spare chest protector. And this one, they hit him so hard, they literally tore this off his body, which is connected around the neck and 2 straps on the sides. They hit him so hard, it just tore it right off. So, but it did its purpose. It saved a lot of damage. As you can see, there's a lot of tire marks all over it. So he'd have been a lot worse off if he hadn't had it on. They have to keep his mind off the injuries and do what we can with it. You know, they're just abrasions, luckily. And just do that, basically. And just talk him up for it, keep his mind off of it.
Ricky scrambles to the front of the pack and establishes the lead immediately. He's taking the jumps with it. There'd been no accident, but Brian watches carefully for signs of trouble with the machine or the rider. Ricky has to finish in the top 3 to qualify for the main moto, which he does by taking the checkered flag. As Chris prepares the 125, Mickey relaxes in the truck. He knows his reflexes are off because of the flu, so he's dropped out of the 250. Even though he couldn't have avoided it, Mickey feels bad about hitting his own teammate and apologizes at the first opportunity.
My bike was on my leg.
Yeah, the guy hit you.
Those guys just kept plowing me.
I didn't even see it.
3 guys hit me real hard, but a bunch of guys scraped up me.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
You must have had a big drive coming out of there.
I can't, yeah, because you can't like this all boom, and I just
Okay, well.
Good luck.
Thanks.
This team is unusually down to earth, partly because it's hard to get a big ego around 5-time champion Roger DeCoster. Roger, along with Dave Arnold, is the backbone of the factory team.
Roger, you know, the factory is kind of a general term. Roger works very closely with the development of the production race motorcycles. I work very closely with the race team in Japan as far as on the factory level, the special parts and pieces built for this particular team. So I might be relaying information back for the special parts and pieces for the race team. Roger would be working more in the lines of getting that information and that technology into next year's production bike, so there wouldn't be a gap there.
On the first moto for the 125cc bikes, Mickey has trouble right at the outset. Chris is concerned and watches carefully, but Mickey holds on to his 3rd place qualifying position with ease. In no other form of motorsport does a driver have to use so much of his body to control his machine. That's why riders must be in peak physical condition.
Well, that's his foot peg got me. Ah! That's the muscle that hurts, but there's a bone that hurts in the middle. Yeah, it's just because it's interior. It's stuck forward in your chest.
Every top rider has a chiropractor on their list of training and medical consultants, primarily because the spine takes so much of the impact from the motocross jumps. As Dr. Bob adjusts Ricky for the main moto, Chris and Roger try to keep Mickey Dymond's energy up. They know he doesn't have his usual stamina, but he could win this 125 overall if he does well in the second moto. An unfortunate start. Mickey's gate gets stuck, putting him way behind the pack. It's obvious Mickey's not himself, and that start was disheartening. It doesn't take much to throw a rider off, slow reflexes, or even a little doubt. Chris knows this is when a rider could get hurt, so he's keeping an eye on him. Just out of sight, Mickey goes down. When Chris realizes what's happened, he moves quickly. Mickey's back up. The smart thing to do is come back another day.
Okay. Well, what's that?
I just need to go get healthy again.
Now Ricky must meet the challenge of the first 250 moto. Ricky established himself near the front right from the start of the race, and Brian is encouraging him to pick off his competitors one by one. Brian has seen this before, the way a rider can perform without regard to his injuries. Brian knows, too, that he is a part of it, and it feels good when Ricky finishes first. There's nothing like winning to make you feel better. It's good therapy for everyone on the team, but the rider is always the focus of attention.
You just pin the thing all the way up the hill, you know, you just go...
No, I didn't clarify. You're in a big trip. Everybody else is jumping off.
It was all
Everybody else is riding up the hill. You're speed limit.
It's like, yeah.
I'm sliding on that turn. It's like you're going to hit the brakes, then come to that's why.
Behind.
On the starting line for the second 250 moto, Ricky has lined up near old friend and rival Brock Glover. Behind the riders, the mechanics can talk privately of things that riders shouldn't hear. While on the line, the atmosphere is highly charged and made more intense by the waiting. Brock Glover jumps the start. False starts are not uncommon, but each one makes it harder to keep calm and to concentrate. And a good start can mean the difference between winning and losing. Again, Brock Glover jumps the start. The starting gates are tested to Glover's satisfaction, and the start is reformed. As they come around the first lap, Ricky is near the front of the pack, and Brian has positioned himself where he can be the most help.
I've worked in this business like 16 years, and I've worked with a lot of different riders, and different guys are motivated in different ways. Ricky is motivated in one way that you can say, hey, this guy is doing things, and he's going to go out there and he's going to stomp all over you today. Well, that stirs him up real quick and real easy.
Ricky must finish in the top 3 or 4 spots to get enough points to be overall 250 winner. But he's got a few competitors to catch.
Gotta get killed! Gotta get killed!
Then only 2 laps from the end, Ricky challenges for 2nd place. When the checkered flag drops, Ricky is a distant 2nd, but the overall 250cc motocross winner. After a long day full of tension, they all welcome the opportunity to relax and share in the euphoria.
It's faster. We're losing so much time. Well, I would try some, and he'd wander on me, and then I'd get out, and then one time I tried to guess on a downhill and missed the berm, but I made it. I was right behind. And then I looked down, there's a couple guys.
Despite the momentary joy of winning, Brian has a realistic attitude.
Well, it's hard, a little mixed emotions today, but it started out real bad, and it turned out real good. We ended up winning the overall. I thought we'd be in a lot worse trouble than when we started with the crash this morning, so the chain of events did turn out real well. And some of the stuff that we tested today proved to be pretty good, so I think we could call it a pretty good day all around. Means tomorrow morning I go back to the shop, tear everything apart, get ready for next week.
For the hidden heroes of Team Honda, this is Dave Bowman.